Hello guys, my name is Arun and welcome to my channel. This series is a series of tutorials on LaTeX programming. Now in the last two tutorials, we saw how to include images or pictures or figures into the LaTeX document using figure environment. Okay, and how we also saw how to how to reduce the size, scale the size up and down using the width, height and scale command, and also we saw how to change the orientation of the image using the angle, not the angle command, the angle parameter, like similarly the width, height and scale parameter. Now in this tutorial we'll see one important feature that's available, very important option for placing images, and this option is called as is used for placing multiple images in a particular order. Many times if you're writing a document or if you're writing a presentation, let's say, it kind of becomes necessary for you to place multiple images, one close to next one to the next to each other. Okay, and in those kind of conditions, you may be you may have a necessity to give some captions to every individual image. At the same time you may have to give captions to the overall image collection. Okay, in this kind of comes absolutely necessary if you're writing papers, and especially writing papers to big some journals where you have a lot of results to put, but the number of images are kind of very low. Number of image options you have are little less. Okay, now now we'll sort it out today, and we'll see how we can do this in an easy manner. Okay, we're going to do this by using this option called as subfigure. Okay, now let me just copy paste all this, cut all this, and let me paste it within the document. Let me run this. I'll just show you what's happening over here. There you have it. If you see this, you have you have four images placed next to each other in a proper manner and alignment. Okay, proper manner and alignment. Okay, now this is actually called as subfigure alignment. Okay, now if I were to run this, okay, not a problem. You have an option like this. Now let me explain what's going on. Okay, now what I've done here is that within the figure environment, which starts from here and ends here and ends here. Okay, instead of writing the include graphics command directly, I start another environment called as begin subfigure, and this environment starts here and ends here. Okay, and I've not created one, but I've created four subfigure environments over here. So this is one, and after this percentage sign you have two, and after this percentage sign you have three, and then four. You have four subfigure environments, and this is exactly similar to the begin figure environment on the top. Okay, and inside this subfigure environment I've written the centering just like what we did the last time, and I made the include graphics command. Okay, I will talk about these options in a minute. Okay, hold on for a while. Okay, I have set the caption, I set the figure label, and okay, and I set the figure name, everything, and then I'm closing the subfigure environment, and that's about it. Okay, like that I repeated this entire process for all the four subfigures. I just slightly modify the label and caption so that each of the captions appears separately. Okay, fine. Caption appears separately. Now after all these subfigures, I return a caption and a label, and then closing the figure environment. Okay, now let me tell you what's happening in this begin subfigure environment. This itself gets treated as a single entity, an image entity. Okay, this becomes an environment within an environment, so this behaves independently of each other. You have other environment features, okay, of other images. Okay, so it becomes like a kind of a box kind of a thing. Okay, now with this being made, okay, I've set this begins a figure to be 0.30 slash text width. Now what this means is that in your page, in your page from left to right, you have a very large amount of you have a certain amount of space to you have a certain amount of width that is allowed for you to write text. So I mean, what I mean is, if you start writing text from this part to this part, you can write your text a lot. Now what this 0.3 backslash text width mean is that I'm going to set the subfigure spacing to occupy 30% of this page width. That is allowed for the text to write in the width. Okay, now meaning if this entire part is say 1 unit that is available for the text to write, 30% of it will be the size of one subfigure. Okay, a similar, and that's what I've done over here. Similarly, I've done the same for the subfigure 2, subfigure 3, and for the subfigure 4 I've set it to 0.48. Now what I mean by 0.48 is this text width box, okay, will be 48 this subfigure environment will be 48% of the page. There might be some spacing over here, there are some spaces over here that you may not, that might hinder you to see what's happening, but trust me, this image will occupy, with its boxes and free spaces, this will occupy 48% of the width of the page, with 48% of the width of the page. Okay, that's what it means over here, this part, PowerPoint for a text width. Now here's the interesting part. Now here's the next part. Now what I've told here is that I've set the width of the image to be placed to be 0.8 times line width. Now what I mean by 0.8 times line width is that now this entire text box will occupy, I told you that this entire subfigure in this line, in this environment, will occupy 30% of the page, of the width of the page. Okay, now in that 30%, okay, I've set the image to scale up such that the width occupies only 80% of that space. Okay, now one way to imagine this is one way to imagine this is that just take a box and take the draw a line from here to here. Okay, draw a line from here to here, and then split into 30%, 30% like that, and in that 30% line draw a line, and that take only 80% of it, and in that 80% spacing the width of the image should occupy the 80% spot. That's about it, and it scales accordingly. That's the reason why you get a little spacing differences over here. On the other hand, if I were to set this to 1.0 times line width, the first image alone, you can see that the image has increased in size slightly. So on the other hand, if I just increase this to 1.0 times line width, even this image increases slightly. And similarly, if I were to put this to 1.0 times line width, there you have it. As of now, you won't find any errors or any warnings here except this one. Okay, because if you add up all the text widths occupied by these three subfigures, they will be less than 1, because it's 0.3, 0.3 and 0.3, so it's 0.9 in total. So what you have here is that as a reason, you still have some space pending over here where you can write some text. Okay, so this won't be a problem. On the other hand, if I were to mess it up, let's say if I set this to 0.4, now this will occupy 3 back to back. Now this will occupy three pages, this entire width, and now this width is 100%. Now if you see, there's hardly any space between the images on the horizontally. Now this is what happens if you have if you adjust the text width. Now if I were to adjust this text width to be a little more, something like 0.45. Now if you see this 0.45 plus 0.3 plus 0.3, it's 1.05. Now it's clearly crossing the text width. So if I run this, what will happen is that ultimately one of the image will be forced and will be put at the bottom. Will be forced and put at the bottom. On the other hand, if you just revert this back and put it to 30.30, the image will come up at the top. Okay. Now with this feature, what you can do is that you can just arrange multiple figures within the figure environment. Okay. Now suppose here's a wacky thought. Now I don't want to go, I was like, okay, I don't want this stuff. I just want it to be a little more random and messy. I just want it to be a little more complicated. So meaning I just want the first image to be here, but the second image, third and fourth to be in a parallel in one line. How can I do that? It's simple. What you do, just give a hard line break like this, like this, and that's about it. Once you do that, okay, whenever this line break is encountered, all the other images will be pushed to the bottom. And here surprisingly, despite the fact that the addition of these three the addition of these three are less than the addition of these three is greater than 1 times text width, the images are all in the same line, and that is because this width is 0.8 times the line width. So it's 80% of this 48% of the page width, so it's kind of reduced in size. So as a reason, all these three fit in. That's one way for you guys. If you want the text width to be, if you already set the text width too much, and if you want some finer controlling of size properties, you can set the width. You can set the width accordingly. I just got some hiccups. That's matter. Okay, that's about it. Okay. Now, once you do that, it's possible you can set the line width accordingly, and then if you want, just give it another line break, and you can just push the image as per your choice. And if you want the images to be centered and stuff, you can do all sorts of manipulations and combinations as well. Okay, for me, for my work, most of the time this subfigure option worked out pretty nicely. But sometimes you might want another little more fancy options wherein you have a little more control, and you may have to put a box on the top and stuff. Okay, for that I always keep two links with me. I just keep it in my some handwritten notes. I'll just show you that. Okay, let me go to the web page. I just already kept them in Firefox. Okay, there is this option called as tech. There's this blog, okay, called as tech blog, where a person, I don't know whose name is this. I'm sorry. There's a person over here who has written, okay, Tom, I guess. Okay, his name is Tom. He has written a blog wherein you can write. He has explained how to use figures and give a different setting, so and you can make your figures appear in a different manner. For instance, he has written this complete code over here. Okay, and in this code he has a list of tables, list of figures, and a list of subtables. And then if you want the figures to be placed in this manner over here, he has given the option over here. Okay, now what he's using is that we were using a subfigure option, whereas he is using this option called as SubFloat. Okay, and he is using the option called as SubFloat, and everything else is more or less the same. Okay, and then if you look at the include the width. If you look at the include the width, he also included 0.4 times text width and like that and so on. Okay, clearly saying that he is using 40% of the text width of the page like that, and then he is using the figure, and then he is using this command called as q quad, so that the two figures are aligned next to each other, and that's how he's working with. And when he's the when and this and the uh, caption for the figure is actually written in the subfloat option itself, as another option like this. Okay, and this is worth trying. This might be useful for some of you guys, and there are a lot of and there are like 30 comments as on today, October 16th of October 2015. Okay, there are a lot of comments over here, and there's this person who has also done the same option as we did, and has this fellow did on the top, but he used an option called as mini page, and that is also available. You can just have a look, and that might be useful as well. Sometimes writing contents with mini pages is very essential. Becomes much easier to align figures as per your choice, so it's worth a try. This mini page option just literally breaks the page into small mini pages, and inside and the size of these mini pages is set by the attribute over here, and inside this mini page you're placing the images and pictures. Now here all the pictures they become independent. They can be independent or dependent based on the begin environment you use on the top, begin figure environment you use. And this way you have options to use subfloats, mini pages to bring figures of this format nicely. Okay, next there's one more option using the same subfloats option in this stackexchange.com. There is this question, how to put subfigures in several rows. The one who asked this question asked a question like, how can I put figures in this kind of a format? Some of you guys might need it. I haven't. It's not needed for me it wasn't needed for me for many of the occasions, but still keep it, because the idea given by the user over here is very interesting. What he has done is that he used the tabular environment. Yes, use the tabular environment, and he also included a package called as tabular-x. Okay, I have no idea what that means. Okay, I guess it's just another package. And then you use the subfig command on the top, subfig package on the top, and you use the subfloat options and the tabular options in a nice manner to create the images like this. For instance, what he has done is that within tabular-x, a field which starts here and ends here, okay, he just writes a begin figure environment here, and then he writes the end figure environment here, and within that he has included a command to make a tabular-x columns. Doesn't matter for now. And inside that he has included a environment called as begin tabular-x, end tabular-x, and inside that he has drawn a table. He has written a table, and inside this table he has included with subfloat option 6 images. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this 6 images are placed in this tabular column. And what he has done is that he has put this tabular column, put an and then included the next image like this. And later he included the next image like this. Now this way what happens is that the table gets displayed over here, and then next to the table corresponding to the size of the table, okay, the other images get placed next to next, and ultimately the caption he gives over here after the tabular-x command comes over here. Similarly, there's another person there's another person. What he has done is that he has included multi-row option and subfig option, and he is using the subfloat option, and he has included this multi-row feature to place the logo, which will occupy multiple rows like these. Which will occupy multiple rows like these. Okay. As of now, I didn't need this either, but you can just always check it out. This might be useful for you guys as well, depending on your need. So check it out. Okay. And the thing is, there's this other user who has given, I think the same user, he has written the same thing in a different manner. He used a matrix, no, he used a matrix on subfloat option and positioning option. This used tickets library positioning package. Okay, this might be a little more messy to do with. Okay, and and one of the commands given by one of the users over here, it says that it's not powerful and it absolutely overkills the nodes. I can understand why, because he's making a lot of nodes, and in those nodes he's putting the images. It works fine sometimes, but it as per this user, it says that it overkills the nodes and stuff. I haven't worked with that. I haven't worked this option at all because it turned out to be, it looked too complicated. It looked a little complicated for me, so I just avoided that ultimately. But it's worth a try. Sometimes this user's idea might work, it might not work, depending on the case. It just kept it over there. Anyway, that's one option. And finally, there is another option. Okay, this user here, he used something called as he used this use package array, and he used the tabular command, and inside this tabular command he put all the images and gave the caption to them separately and worked with it. So okay, so that's one of the ways to look at it. Okay, and there are these are some standard options available to place images in a crazy manner, multiple images in the figure, in the document. Okay, there may be other possible ways as well, but I haven't checked that, but you can check it out. Okay, and okay, now this way we just finished up putting the image in the documents. That's all I have for you guys now. In the subsequent tutorials, we'll see how to do some more options are available in LaTeX, like citation, bibliography, and a few more important features. How to write reports, and stuff. Okay, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.